Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let's get the chat line up. It's kind of a quiet day starting off here in the States. Everybody is dealing with a long day yesterday, and pretty much a lot of products in the States are not even open yet, so we're not really seeing none of the grains or any of the over half the commodities are turned off. And then we have the stock market kind of just running. I'm not even sure if bonds were even trading. Just take a peek, but I think there's a good chance that bonds haven't traded it. Well, they may have traded bonds electronically, so that makes sense. So let's kill that volume over here. We do at least have news on today, which is nice. Yesterday, there was no news, financial news at all here. Let's see. Let's get over to. Let's take a look at the currencies this morning. The currencies have been trading. That's the only thing that has been trading is I've been seeing currencies trade. Yesterday I saw them trade. We had them on in the webinar yesterday, and they are trading again today. Let's see, where is it at? Dollar index right there. You can see it's moving down. That is No, how about that? That's what are they doing? They're showing that as yesterday, not today. Just some of the weakness there. Let's go over to the actual pairs trades themselves. Let's start off there instead. And there is the euro right there. You see the euro. Now that is showing it as, let's just double check. That also shows 24th. I think that means it started last night. I think that's what it really comes down to. And here's on Chicago Quant. Yes, there's the 25th. So we do have trading going on. You can see on Wednesday they went into a daily buy on the euro, and you can see it's been holding up. Currencies are basically the only real product that makes sense when it comes to our American holidays, the major holidays like this, especially this one. It starts Wednesday afternoon. People are headed towards family and friends and so forth, and then it basically really ends in a slice Sunday night, or you can say this morning on some level, and then goes right back into, the markets kind of close again. They close early. They have the New York Stock Exchange open for a few hours, and I think 3.5 hours it is, and then the electronic trading is with it, and then it stops trading, in the middle of the day, all of it, and then we're back into the holiday again, and it kind of makes it easier for travel, because this is like one of our, I would say it's the biggest holiday in the year. You have the Christmas and New Year's, but there's no doubt that the Thanksgiving one is it's the starting point of America's religious freedom. Pilgrims coming to America in 1621. It took 150 some odd years after this particular holiday for them to create the Fourth of July and the Constitution. The Constitution was on the 4th of July, so it's an interesting, not really talked about holiday in an intellectual way anymore. It's just practiced. But I myself always try to remind people that it was the beginning of religious freedom on the earth. So it's an odd thing to say, but it is what it is. In other words, all religions were welcome in America and are protected. And that's something that's very rare on the earth. So let's go over to the British pound. And you can see the British pound right there doing the same thing. And a day earlier on the British pound, it's going on a 4th day now. Let's put it up over here. Right there it is. You can see the same, pretty much, it's like half and half. There's just 3 days right there, which is cool. And you can see the green line above the dash line. You see that pressure on it. And then we go over to the weekly, right there. And you see that's been very comfortable on the buy side for a bunch of weeks. You can see all that strength there. It vacillated out a little bit right now, but we're at the top end of the mathematical range, so it makes it a little tough to read the stochastic. But overall, it's pretty honest and pretty clear, the stochastic. And you can see here we've been in weekly buy for 5 solid weeks and almost 6 weeks here, starting off very early, so almost closing in the buy there. Oh, let's get the chat line up. Chat line. Where are your chat line? Chat line. And click the doo-dah. There we are. And let's see where the chat line is. There we go. Hello. It says Dukascopy webinars. Okay. The stream starts in 1 hour and 30 minutes. Which stream? You can ask any question. Oh, okay. I like that. Oh, I think that's really good. Green Planet, virtually no volume. Cannot hear you. How about now? Can you hear me now? Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Hey, Green Planet. I like the name. That's pretty cool. I hear me. I hear me. So, anybody let me know if we're better. Okay, good. How's that? I'll talk a little bit louder. And let's see. Let me read all the rest of them. It's a Dukascopy webinars. You can ask any question. That's really good. They're putting information out like that. If it is related to tech stuff, ask away. We might direct you to the correct person. Right, exactly. That's what I usually do, too, at the same time. Higher, please. All right, let's try now. Is that any better? Let me see if I can push a button on this thing to make it louder. How about there? Sounds pretty good here. It needs to be louder. Well, this is about all we can do. But let me check with the Chicago people and see what they say about how they hear it. Let's see. And then we'll go from there. Green Planet. What a great name. I like that. I think it's more of a blue planet, but definitely the vegetation on it is green, that's for sure. Let's see. Right there. And so where are we at? Oh, yes. So we're there at the cable. You can see that strength. Can you hear me? Can you hear me on the webinar? Okay.
Oh, I didn't even go in there. I didn't know you were doing.
Yeah, just double check to see what the sound sounds like.
Okay.
It sounds good here, but one of the visitors is saying that it's kind of low. Let's see. We'll see in a few seconds. So, anyhow, okay, that's right. Take your time. And I'm just going to keep on talking instead. So, let's see now.
Yes, I hear you.
Loud and clear? Okay, perfect. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, thanks, Robin. Bye-bye now. All right, so we're getting, it's, maybe you want to turn off your machine and turn it back on again, that type of thing. It's like the IT crowd in England on the TV show. Have you tried turning your system off and then turning it back on again? Green Planet. Okay, so from there, you can see the cable looking very firm, and it's been that situation for a while. I'm amazed, after the elections and all like that they're actually holding up. But then what I really think is going on is that obviously the Federal Reserve, we talked about it yesterday, the minutes that came out on, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday? No, the minutes came out on, did they come out on Wednesday? I think the minutes came out on Tuesday. Normally they do. Could have been Wednesday. So the Fed minutes came out and made it pretty clear that they're going to start increasing rates less. Boy, can you screw that up or what? In other words, they're going to increase rates still, but they're not going to be like 3/4 point increases. Now it's going to be a 0.5 point, and then maybe the next one will be 1/4 point, that type of thing. And at the same time, that's mainly the reason why we thought the metals market was going to lift over the last 5 or 6 months. We thought these last 2 months would show stronger metals markets on the upside. And sure enough, we are seeing that. That's for sure. So, and then what happened was, I guess it was was it yesterday? I guess it was yesterday. I ended up putting a intraday chart up because, a lot of products are closed. And so that was kind of fun. And so then yesterday afternoon when I was free, I put up oil and gold intraday charts. And so, it's kind of fascinating to see the action of that. All right. From there, we'll jump over to, where do we go? Where's Mr. and Mrs. Mouse? There it is right there. And we're going to go from the British pound to the Swiss franc. See how the Swiss is doing. And I did mention yesterday about the Credit Suisse having more issues, that type of thing. They've been losing high-end. Hey, how you doing, Green Planet? High-end accounts leaving, which is probably very disturbing. And you can see right there, the Swiss popping up just a little bit today, but it's in that weekly sell right there. You can see that. And when we go over to Chicago J4X here, there's the weekly. Let's put the Swiss up there. Where is it? Yeah, there it is right there. There's the Swiss. See, Green Plan says, I've just tested another YouTube, and it's perfect. You are so quiet on full volume and fading away in and out. That's odd. Now, I just called about 1,500 miles. I just called about something like 1,700 kilometers away, and they're picking me up loud and clear. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but I can say this about that, and I think that what it comes down to is that it may be ducoscopy, it might be, it might be something of that nature. But I'll try to speak clearly and into the mic as close as possible throughout the whole thing for you. And maybe then it'll sound a little bit better. There we are. So there's the Swiss, and you can see the Swiss moving down. And you can see the green line underneath, so, reflecting that weakness there on the weekly. And that's what you see over here. There it is right there. And then we go and look at the Swiss on a daily level like that to compare it to Chicago Quant right there. And see they are marching in the same way. And the green line is underneath, and this thing is the same way. It's underneath, well, that should be a dashed line, not a solid line. So we can say that they're both underneath their dashed lines, that type of thing like that. There we go. And we'll do the same thing with the weekly. And right there. And then we'll go with a save. There we go. This way you can say, oh, they're both underneath their dashed lines, or their whatever lines you want to call those. So then from here, the Swiss, which has been going through a lot of issues, I guess you could say, not the Swiss currency itself, but I think the Swiss Central Bank has been working with Credit Suisse. I think Credit Suisse is having real issues. Give me a moment. Okay, no problem. Okay. It looks like Giannis is jumping in and fixing something. Yeah, it seems that something is wrong with Doc's mic. Now, I just talked to Robin in Chicago. He's 1,700 kilometers away, and he's picking me up loud and clear, he says. See, to be that bad, but it doesn't seem to be that bad. How about now? Does it sound better now? Maybe I need just to be a little bit louder. I know I have a very soft voice at times. As a trader, I only use the voice when I want to make my trades. So you can see there the what is that? The Swiss, has been dealing with Credit Suisse, it sounds like, and that seems to be the real issue. And you can see the Federal Reserve has been doing swaps with the Central Bank of Switzerland. So, to probably help out this issue that they have going on with Credit Suisse, but money has been leaving it, and so that's probably been the real pressure point. Alrighty, from there we switch over to the yen, the good old yen. Where are we at? Let's put it up on J4X first, and there's the dollar yen right there. You see a couple days in the sell. This is the third day. See the green line underneath the dashed dotted lines there. And then we go over to the same thing over here on, where's it at? Right there. There we are. There it is. And let's fix those lines so we can say the same thing. It's like a dashed line. This way we don't have to relate to the color of it. We just relate to the fact that it's dashed. Very visual. We're into that visual thing, you know? Very visual. Oh, there we go. Green Plan says, okay, I'll try another day. Time for a mic check. Okay. All right. Well, Green Planet, thank you for coming in. We appreciate that. And then, so then when we go from there, or also, you know what, Green Planet, tune into the video of this after it's over with. Maybe it'll come in clearer that way too. You never know. And then because you can always ask your questions, and then see them on the video if you can't hear them clear enough. There's always something in trading. We're always doing something. It's not a trading pit, unfortunately, as much as I would like to call it the cyber trading pit. All right, and there's the yen. You can see the weekly's doing the same thing as the Swiss. They've been marching together pretty well and showing that weakness right there. And then that's the weekly. And you can see the daily, you know, it's the same way. It's showing the weakness here. And same thing is up on J4X there. You see the weakness and the green line underneath the dotted dash thing line, you know, there. And then we throw the weekly in there. And we see that same action. Same type of weakness right there. We see it right here. Right there on the J4X. And so that's the real pressure that we're seeing on these products. In other words, they're dropping now, and when these two products go down in value, like the yen and the Swiss, because it's a dollar Swiss pairs trade, it's a dollar yen pairs trade. It means that the pair is making the money, not the dollar. The dollar is losing money against them, and vice versa. Over on GBP dollar, when it rises, it's making money against the dollar because again, it has the GBP in the front and the dollar in the second half. So it tells you which side of the pairs trade we're really looking at. And then the same thing was up with the euro. It was euro dollar, euro against the dollar. So again, it's rising and the dollar is losing, and that's what we expect to see around here. Is that we expect to see the dollar's way, way, way too strong. It's been way too strong for a while now, and it should be, it should be pulled back. And what it was the currency, since, the United States pays the largest sum of interest for the largest sum of money, and so it has a profound effect across the planet, and that is, that's the whole flavor of it all. In other words, that's the way it works. It's just not. It's not favoritism and so forth. It's always funny. You hear people like I hear people around here in the States. Dollar's losing against the Chinese yuan. It's losing against the ruble, and I'm like, what? Or the Indian rupee. It says, oh yeah, people are going to trade that. They're going to trade the BRICS, and they're not going to trade the dollar anymore. And I'm like, I don't think it works that way. And it's like, and it won't make the dollar go away. Americans will use the dollar. And over 50% of the equity in the world is in dollars. And it's in the United States. So how does the world walk away from 50% of equity? Also, at the same time, they depend on the dollar to set prices or be the exchange rate for a lot of large sum items like oil or gold or a bond market. And imagine if you tried to put together like the rupee and the Chinese yuan and the South African rand and the Russian ruble together as a currency. as one currency, right? Like a basket, and that would be like a world reserve currency. They don't. They just don't trade enough volume. The problem is that they don't, that's what the problem is. They're just not big enough. All of them combined together, they're not big enough. The Chinese yuan trades around 2.5% of volume a day in the world trading markets. That's it, 2.5%. I mean, like the euro trades something like 20 some odd percent. The British pound and the yen each trade 15 or 14%. The Canadian dollar even trades like 7%. And so, and in the United States is like anywhere from 45 to 50% of world markets. So, they think that you can outlaw something. They have that most of the people have this idea that government can control things, and they do to a great extent because they're spending a lot of money, but they really can't control markets as well as you would think. And I know it's hard to believe with quantitative easing for the last 13 years. Is it 13 years now or 14 years? Let's see. So 08 to 22 is 14 years. So last 14 years going on 15 years, they've had quantitative easing. And they really rule the global market on every level because they control so much cash, and they're just such a large entity of trading every day. But you can't turn that off and say, okay, now we're going to make the ruble, the yuan and the rupee and the I think they talk about Brazil in that group too, and the real and the South African rand. They just don't trade much. They're just too thin. If you put them all together, you're only probably talking about 7-8% of global trading total, if it's that much, maybe less. It would they just you would buy, if you bought $1 billion of their brick, when you went to go sell $1 billion, you may only be able to get 990 million. You'd lose 10 million just because of illiquidity. It could be even worse. The illiquidity of that group could be, you might buy it for $1 billion and only be able to sell it out for say 800, say 900 million or something like that, and actually lose 10% just because of the illiquidity. And a good example of that is right here. I mean, we literally have a great example of that, and that is the dollar Turkish lira pairs trade. We've seen some wild swings in that thing. You can see it there. Look at these wild swings. I mean, it's just started over the last 9-10 months. They were this particular currency pairs trade has gone from, look at these wild swings in them. I mean, we never had wild swings like that. The illiquidity level now has dropped dramatically. I don't even know what they do in the world. They may do just 1%. Who knows what they do when it comes to daily trading? I just don't see it published all the time. But that's what it would look like. In other words, someone has like right now. You have some countries have $400 billion worth of. I mean, I remember when the Russians had 400 billion in U.S. bonds. I think they still even have them, and they were trying to get out of the dollar, and they started selling their sovereign fund, which was like 300 or 400 billion, and they sold that off, and they were so proud. They told the world that, oh, we don't invest in America anymore, but they have bonds still, not in sovereign, but in other ways. They have deposits from central bank, and sovereign funds and central bank funds are two separate animals. And so what happens is that they still have U.S. bonds with their central bank to U.S. bond, but their sovereign fund probably now invested in like Saudi Arabia, or it's invested in other places. So it's all right, good, because all it is adding more liquidity to a place that might not have as much liquidity, which is always positive. So what this conversation really is coming down to is that if you don't have liquidity, then you can't we used to call it on the trading floor the cockroach hotel. You can get in, but you can't get out. And you can see it here. People have been trying to get out of the Turkish lira on given days, and it gets nuts. I mean, we've seen it on J4X. We've seen it on Chicago Quant. There is illiquidity there. And you can see the swings get kind of crazy. And we don't even know if that's like $250 million. We don't know if it's like, just $100 million or 100 million lira. We have no idea because, their central bank system is not exactly forthcoming with information. So, as you can see this week in particular, just since we're there, it's flirting with that weekly sell. It's trying to get out of the 42 weeks of the weekly buy, which obviously, it's going to happen there. What is that all about? I guess if we get rid of that and bring that down. There we are. And there's the dashed line. And we have the little red circle because it looks like it will definitely close in a weekly sell. Oh, where were we? We're at yen, right? So, okay, we jumped right into the right place. So that's good. Now let's take a look at it on Chicago J4X, just to confirm with us all. But liquidity is a very important thing. And so when someone says something about BRICS and so forth, it's like, no, I'm not against them. It's just they don't have the liquidity. And I wouldn't mind if the Chinese yuan traded 20%. It doesn't even float. I mean, I would love for the Chinese yuan to finally float as a currency like the way the British pound does, or the euro, or the Canadian dollar, or the Kiwi, or I can keep on going down the row, the yen. Their currency doesn't float. They post, there's the People's Bank of China post the value each day. This is the value today. That's what they tell you. This is the value. And that's why it only trades 2.5%. So it makes it very strange when you think that they may be the second largest economy in the world. I myself don't see that. I think they're in the fourth or fifth position because their currency is fixed. And if it really floated like a real currency, it may be trading at 15 or 13 or 20 or something like that. And then their GDP would be dramatically lower, and they wouldn't be the second economy in the world. So what they do is they keep their currency fixed, between like 6 and 7. It just sits there, bouncing around in there for years. 6 and 7, and 7 and this. And matter of fact, let's get that up there on the board so I can show it to you. And their volume is very anemic. There is, and then we'll go back to the what is it? The the Euro Turkish lira after this. But let's just point that out, And when it comes to the Brazilian real, we can't even get a quote on that thing. The best people do is they trade there's this institutional fund that trades the stocks, and people use that as a way of getting currency. And then I guess when they're really desperate, they find a way to get some currency from the central bank, but it's so weak that it doesn't even float. And we all know what's happened to the ruble, or the currency that should not be named. I mean, they've just basically have shot themselves in the foot more than they've shot Ukraine in the foot. And then what was that other one? The rupee? The rupee, I just saw another headline today. They're trying to go total digital. I have no idea why they're doing those things. It's unproductive. Digital currency is okay. It should be another tool, but it should not be some pretending way of the best way to manage commerce. Let's find that. There it is, right there. It's right underneath. No, there's the CAD. Where is the? Let me punch it in. Hey, it doesn't even jump out. So what is it? USD. Let's try this. USD. CNN or something like that, is it? USD C what is that? There it is, the Chinese yuan. CNH. There it is. Okay. It's locked at 718, and when we go into put a monthly chart up, you're basically going to see that the product has been locked. Let's make it the whole screen. The product's been locked between the 6s and the 7s since like 2012. I mean, really. I mean, let's take a look at the. Let's look at another economy that functions about equal to it. Let's put it that way. And here it is, the dollar Turkish lira. Now, I have to believe that the dollar Turkish lira represents China much better. There you go. Can you imagine? This thing was in the ones, okay? Now it's trading in the, what is that, the 19s since 2012, okay? It was in the one area, almost two. You know, if this thing floats, the Turkish lira is a currency that actually floats, like all the rest of the currencies. The Chinese yuan is a currency that does not float, okay? They set it. They make an official price of it every day. The bank does. Matter of fact, at one point, notice they were bringing it down. It was gaining in value during COVID. And someone probably had to smack somebody in the head and say, hey, I think we're supposed to look like the rest of the currencies. And look what they did. They roared it up out of nowhere. Literally when COVID finally ended, they started to roar it up. It was like, so this should look the other way. I mean, their economy is closed. Why was their currency gaining all this value right here? Why was it gaining value during the bulk of COVID? No one, they were just fixing it, letting it flow back and forth, and so there's a perfect example of what I'm saying. Now, you can believe it or not believe it, but one thing is for sure, it doesn't float. It doesn't have any liquidity. That's a fact, okay? And so, that's the most important thing when you trade a product. You need liquidity. Matter of fact, maybe we'll call this webinar about liquidity. And for Green Planet, we might even say sound and liquidity. All right, so from there, let's go back to the Euro Turkish lira, which I look at it as a location thing. It gains value. It's a good product because of the location. And there's the monthly. Let's go down to the daily. There's the daily. And it's lifting up, which is interesting since the dollar. Well, here's the dollar. You can see it on Chicago Quan here, our charting system. Excuse me. It's flirting with the daily buy now. It's been in the sell for a bunch of days. An illiquid day forced it to go into the sell, and it kind of stumbled around for a couple of days. But you can see here, someone tried to buy it. That's what happens when you have a gap like that. It means that someone came in with larger quantity of the buy than was offered. And that means it's illiquid because they couldn't offer it inside the range of the day before. That's what all these spikes represent, is that somewhere along the line, someone comes in that wants to buy it and there is nothing to buy, or they want to sell it and there's no bidders. That's exactly what that represents. All right, and then from there, where do we go from there? We go back to we go now to the Euro Turkish lira right there. And you can see there's a lot more liquidity to it because it's parked next to Europe. It borders a lot of European states, or on the edge of bordering European states. And so what happens is that it trades a little less illiquid of late. Notice that right there. And then from there, the weekly, you can see, has been in a weekly buy, and it's not giving up its weekly buy compared to that spin that happened about 2 weeks back from the illiquidity has forced the product to go into a weekly sell, which was a real surprise to me. And then let's do this. Let's get over to, what's this? Yana says something. Let me see where it's at. I am listening to. Give me a moment. Yeah, okay. It seems okay. Okay, I'll try and okay, that's it. It's the same thing. Wasn't sure. And then from there, let's go to. Did we put the weekly in? Let's put the weekly in. There it is, right there. You see that strength is there, just like we have the strength here. Same action there. And it doesn't surprise me that the dollar Turkish lira is a less liquid trade, because we're many, many more kilometers away. I mean, what, 7,000 kilometers away from Turkey. So, I mean, there's It might be even more than that. It could be like 9,000 kilometers away or 10,000 kilometers away from Turkey. So I mean, there's it's the expense of transporting it, especially with the cost of energy. You put the two together, and what you really get is like, okay, let's just deal with the European Union and save some money. All right. The craziness of what's going on right now is that FTX founder is speaking at the Deal Book Summit in New York. Speak at New York Times Deal Book Summit. People are a little upset about that since he absconded with a few $1 billion or threw away a few $1 billion. He gave a couple $100 million to his folks to go buy some property. Somehow or another, he pretends that doesn't mean anything. But I don't think they were a real estate investment trust, so I'm a little confused about that. All right, so there it is with the euro. Now, let's go to, let's see, what else can we say? I guess that's about it with the euro. Now we'll jump down to the two currencies that match up to commodities a lot, and that is the South African rand is better at it than the Canadian dollar. But the Canadian dollar does match up pretty well against energy, the oil contract itself. So when the oil contract is going up and oil is getting expensive, the Canadian dollar gets expensive, and vice versa. When oil is losing value, the Canadian dollar loses value. All right, so here is the Canadian up on J4X. You can see it there. Now what it's happening is that this is dropping. Okay, right there. Let's just show you what it looks like over here on Chicago Quant. Right there. You see it's very much more milder. It's nowhere near as accentuated. It's kind of tight, but it is losing value. And that means, I'm sorry, it's going down and it's gaining value against the dollar. That's what that's doing. All right, now let's take a look at oil. And I'm sorry, that's the weekly. That's the weekly, not the daily. Let's go to the daily first and double check it there, because it's more sensitive to the daily. There you go. That's better. So in other words, the Canadian is off its lows and rising, and it's losing value against the dollar. Last couple of days, it's been, picking up a little, retracing, but overall, it's not challenging this low here. Now, what we do is we go over to oil, and we take a look at the oil contract right there, and you can see there. It has been going down in value, losing money, and and you can see overall it had been going down, so it was losing money, and the Canadian at the same time, and basically that same time period, was rising and losing money. Because remember, this is a dollar CAD, so when the CAD goes down like this, it's gaining against the dollar, and when it starts to lift up, it's losing against the dollar. Okay. And so that kind of lays that out for us right there on the Canadian. And then what we do is we drift over to the South African rand, and we look at gold at the same time. And there is where's the South African rand? There it is, right there. And you can see here, this thing has been dropping, which means it's gaining against the dollar. And we see the same thing over here on the gold, right there. It's been pretty much rising until recently, and it got into this congestion. See the sideways congestion there? There's your sideways and down. And then, we mentioned on the webinar this day right there, 3 or 4 days back, we said, the South African rand is not, I repeat, is not going up. And so it's been falling. So don't be nervous about the selling. And you can see the gold got sold down that day, but found a way to close higher by the end of the day, and sure enough, it is still trying to climb in value. And again, with the world, the U.S. half closed, or 3/4 closed, basically, it makes it really tough to really measure it out. Monday, things will be better. The world will be active, and it will be, fully going. And then there's your weekly South African rand. You can see the South African rand there, is coming down nice and firm. I'll show it to you over here. Same situation in the weekly sell, which means it's gaining against the dollar. It's showing a lot of buying power. It is not running away. Let's put it that way. And in the, in that same conversation I had a little while ago about the idea of the BRICS trying to be a world reserve currency, and they always promise that they're going to lock their currency to gold. They've been saying that now, I don't know, 6, 7 years, something like that, 5, 6 years, and they're never going to be able to do that. There'll be a run on it. People will buy the South African rand, that, or they'll buy the brick, and they'll exercise the gold out because everybody wants physical gold. So now paper gold on the exchange floors seem to not reflect what the physical trades for, but that is what it is, traders. So try not to get trapped in something that's not liquid. All right, from there, let's see. We go to the south of the border here. We go look at the Mexican peso. Right there. And this, I think it's telling us something here. It's gaining against the dollar. I think that the change in government over here will be a very positive effect for Mexico. I'm sorry, and so that's what you're seeing there. And that long run we've had right here, same thing with the weekly on Chicago Quant. It's been in a sell since the 20.5 area, and it's showing the same action there. Lots of pressure and coming down and the whole bit, And then let's check out the daily, right there. Daily's not taking out the bottom of the range yet, but it looks like it's trying to, but not yet. But it is there. Right there is the. There it is. Right there is the bottom end of the range we've been watching for years, and it's basically banging around on it. We have an election. We have a runoff election in 8 days or 10, 11 days, something like that. So today's 5th, 5 and 7 is 12. 12 days from now, and that'll be the last thing we finally get resolved, I guess. We'll see. There's been some strange things going on. But in the end result is that if it turns out with the Republicans winning the seat, then I would imagine we're going to see the Mexican peso even go lower. In other words, gain more against the dollar. Alrighty. Let's go from there. If anybody wants to see anything, just shout it out. We'll put it up on the screen. And close that. And there's the S&P 500. Trading on intraday ticks that we use to trade for ourselves. And let's go over to the metals complex. That's where we left off. Gold a little bit down today. Not much because it's really sloppy, because of yesterday's holiday. And you can see we are in a daily buy. And we're in a weekly buy with no problem there. Let's put it up over on J4X right there. There's the gold. Doing the same gig, trying to lift up again, get back to its. It's not that far off of the highs, of the last 6 months. I guess you could go like that. 6 months, yeah. There's August, so it's taken out the August, and then what is that? That's the July, right? Right there. This is the July. No, that's early August. Okay, so it hasn't taken out the August highs yet, but I figure it probably will. It'll get through the 18s. That's the daily. Let's look at the weekly right there. Matching up to Chicago Quant situation, on the upside here. And then what's the next one? Let's go over to silver. See what silver looks like. There's silver there on J4X. You see it's kind of hitting the high end of the range at the moment. Trying to do a little hesitation. And let's put it up over here. There it is. You see the same thing. It's much higher up. It's trying to push. Now, this is the December contract. Yesterday, I think it was Georgia came in and mentioned that he's following March now. So there's the March contract. We put that together yesterday. And you can see the March contract is trying to get into a sell. But the weekly looks still firm. It's just that we're seeing some weakness in the daily. But then again, it's a holiday. So that's usually, that's why we don't send the charts out after Wednesday. We're concerned that that there's no liquidity for Thursday, of course, because all of them are closed. There's a little electronic market going on some stuff, and then Friday there's an electronic market for and a physical market for about 3.5 hours on Friday, and then we close down at lunchtime, Chicago time, and we 1 o'clock Eastern time, and what is that? 10 o'clock Los Angeles time. So what's that? 7 in the morning. We close at 7 in the morning in Hawaii. So it's very illiquid, very illiquid. And then from there, the silver. Let's just throw the daily in there. Right there. You see it's trying to perk up. What's going on with that one there? It has no indication at the moment. Not sure which way it wants to go. But we can see over here on Chicago Quant on the back month, it's playing with the weekly sell, daily sell. I'm sorry, playing with the daily sell there. All right, let's check out copper. See how copper is looking. There's copper. We think this is a manifestation of China. So copper was in the $5 area. Now it's trading in the mid $3 area. So basically tells us that things are tough. And the lockdowns that they keep on doing for the COVID is not productive. It's the opposite. It keeps on killing people. Lockdowns are bad. So let's see. From there, let's get it up on Chicago. Right. Where are you at? I know you're close by. There it is. Right there. There's December. You can see a couple days in a buy. Now, I guess there's hope of the lockdowns ending in China, and that would be nice. And we're off the lows, so that's a good thing. So we just need to see that action keep on occurring. And let's see. From the copper, we'll go over and take a look at platinum. And there is the platinum. Platinum is holding up fine on the weekly, and that's all we wanted to do. We just want to see it stay in the buy, and it's going to do that with no problem whatsoever. Its daily's been really sloppy. Went into the sell up in here in the, was it like the 1011 area? So 1017, and has traded down to 977. So it's at like $40 it dropped off. Gold, I think, dropped off like 60, and silver dropped off like $1.50. And you can see here today, it's feeling the pressure right there. And again, very liquid markets right now. All right, and that pretty much finishes us up on the metals complex, unless someone has a question. And then from there, we drift over to the energy sector. So there is front month crude, trying to lift its head up a little bit today, but it's still in the daily sell. Let's put Brent North Sea up there. There's Brent North Sea trading in the 86s. Lots of red. You can see that on the daily for a while here, just like we have on Chicago Quant. Lots of selling, same gig, pushing it down. A little pop here. This is really tight inside the range. We've got the green line above, so JForex is trying to tell us it wants to try to lift. But we see on ours, it's not doing too good a job. It's trying. We got a red and a green going on, but it's not doing too good a job at it. And then the weekly is pretty clear there. It's just sitting on the edge down at the bottom. It's very hard to believe that anybody would want to sell this product too heavily. It'd have to be a logistics thing as far as I'm concerned. And let's put the weekly on the North Sea Brent up there. There it is. And I can't wait to see where the green line is. Okay, the green line's underneath, and we're a couple of bars in the red. So that pressure is on, same as it is right here on Chicago Quant. All right, from there we go over to natural gas, which is a real important thing in the scheme of things. And there is natural gas. This is U.S. natural gas. Let's see if we can find it. It's around here somewhere. Brent, copper, there it is right there. And so we're trading over $7. It's been very firm, lifting up with the winner. See that there on the weekly. Let's put it up on our screen over here. And it's trying to get into a weekly buy as we speak, right there, which is pretty much, looks like it's there. And so that'll be in a weekly buy when we send out the charts on Monday morning. And then we go and look at the daily, and you can see the daily's been in a daily buy for this whole run. Not letting go there at all. Let's put her up over here. There it is on J4X, the daily. Same situation, on a run, reaching the top end of its range at the moment. Whereas here, you see, we're just you're rolling over the same way, but we haven't broken the daily sell yet. So that pressure is hanging right there on it. Now from there we go over to we leave that up there, the natural gas on the Chicago Quant, and what we do is we go over here and we look at a gas stock out of Spain that we've been following for like the last I think that might be it. Is that it? Copper? No. And this stock kind of reflects what's going on in Europe, and it's trading in the 27s. We've seen when natural gas fell down to the $5 area right here on Chicago Quant, right there. You know, that low was like 538, okay? Basically 540. Now we're, it's 718. We saw the Spanish natural gas company fall from 30 and change. At that same point, it came down to 22.5. Now you see we're trading at 27. So we're basically in the middle of the range now, the higher end of the middle of the range in Europe, and it's very close in many ways. The cost of American natural gas is $7.18 a cubic foot. And in Europe right now, it's trading probably around 27 to 28 euros to a cubic foot. So that's what that gas quote that's live right now tells us about the natural gas market. All right. From there, we take a quick look at the stock indices. Just a quick glance. That's finishing off the energy. So there's the S&P 500. You can see for the holidays, it's been staying firm. It's in a daily buy right there, and a weekly buy. So the stocks are going to benefit from the lower cost of interest over time there. And let's find it right. Where is it at? It's right there. It is right there. The S&P 500. This is the daily. You can see the same thing. We're having a little congestion right there, but you can see, I don't know about that tail or not, but in the end result is that because we don't see that over here. We're just at this point in time, we're just watching the way it's trying to lift up. Let's see what the weekly looks like here on J4X there. You see, same thing. Weekly looks just as firm as our weekly right there. Just marching along on the upside, but it's at the top end of the range for the moment, and that's pretty clear and pretty precise of what's going on there. Someone was talking about it this morning on one of the financial channels that I watch. Mentioned that performance in the stock indices, there's a 50% difference between the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500, and so that's like ouch, that hurts. That's a big thing because money is usually parked in those things, so the retirement funds and so forth. So they, just the difference of the benchmark, I guess you would call it. That's what we usually refer to it as, the benchmark. So, all right, what else do we got going on here? We can give you a flavor of what action is like on the intraday. It's been breaking down. Is that it right there? Oh, yeah, I see. What is that? There we go. I'm confused why that's not showing a change. Let's see. Let's just close that for the moment. Huh. Close workspace. No, we don't want to compress price scale. We just want to close it. All right. I'm going to move over to the next thing, and it won't let me do that. Let's do a Alt Control Delete. See what we can find out. Taskmaster. Let's do this. Let's just close it right there. End task. There we go. And then we'll reload it. There we go. Previous session that started did not end correctly. Remaining possess. What's this? Correctly. Remaining process. Okay. Let's say terminate process and start multi-charts. There we go. We'll give you a flavor of the intraday, and we'll go from there. And then we'll call it a day. We're pretty much at the end of the webinar, and no one seems to have needed any particular help in anything or look at anything. And let's go right there. So let's close this one here. Okay, so let's do this. Close that one. Close. And we open up this one. There it is right there. It's recalculating. And there is the very short term two-thirds Tesla, as I call it. And what it did is went into the cell right there and stayed in the cell all the way down to right here. I guess it went into the buy right there. Had it pop up, and it's back into the cell again. And then I guess it went into the buy right here, popped up the next bar. And this is only 286 contracts, which we call two-thirds of a Tesla. Tesla is 396. And you can see here it's trying to break down, but hasn't broken down yet. You can see the other indicators are down below. All right, traders, we're out of here. This is Doc. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time. Oh, no, we'll see you on Monday. Today is TGIF. Oh, this holiday. And we will see you on Monday, TGIM. So, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Have a safe and smart weekend, traders. We will catch you on Monday. Monday.